Hey, so for this video, before we get too far into the intricacies of how to control every little family and everything they can do, I want to explain one more high-level concept and kind of help you understand the strategy we used when we were creating all of these tools that we've given you. So we talked about how there's loadable families and system families. We pre-made some system families to give you options because there's not one way to skin a cat in Revit. If you need to put some trim into a room, you may need to use different techniques. There's not one technique that's going to work for everyone in all instances because certain things are good at certain tasks and others bad at others. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So when you look at our example project, you'll notice that we've got the loadable families over here. Then we've got, so for instance, we've got sloped glazing here, which is a way to put beams on the ceiling, right? So you can see we've got them going different directions or, like crisscrossed. So there's 3 different sloped glazing families. And these will easily, just by sketching a ceiling and putting a slope to that ceiling, you can essentially, or I should say roof, technically sloped glazing is under the roof command. You can quickly lay out beams very quickly. But that's one option we've given you. We've also given you the option of a standalone beam family, and you can place beams using that. So whether you use the standalone family or the sloped glazing, they'll do the same thing. The other thing we gave you loaded into the project and is also a loadable family is we gave you the beam profile. So if you want to create, maybe you have a curved ceiling, like a barrel ceiling, but you still want this beam profile to curve along your barrel ceiling. We've given you the beam profile so that you can create an in-place sweep family to do your curved ceiling. So we basically tried to say there isn't one solution that's going to do all scenarios. So we've tried to take into account as many things as you could encounter and give you the tools to deal with each one of those things. So I gave you my beam example, but here are some more examples of why we did what we did. So here we've got the same wall, same wall setup in 3 scenarios. And I just want to show you what happens when you do different techniques. So if we look at this wall, you can see it's got crown, chair rail, and base. And we've done this with wall sweeps. So the reason we did this with wall sweeps is wall sweeps are really good at handling curves. Do you see how nicely it just wraps that curve? It's very smooth. To understand in comparison, this was done using the curtain wall. And do you see how on a curve, the curtain wall breaks it up into jagged pieces? So what I'm saying is you'd probably, if you have a curved wall, I would use a wall sweep rather than a curtain wall. But you might ask yourself, why would you use a curtain wall instead of wall sweeps then for all things? Well, curtain walls are great because they can do both the crown, chair rail, and base all at once. All you have to do, this, if I highlight this curtain wall, you'll see that I drew one curtain wall and it put in the crown, the chair rail, and the base all at once. So this whole area was done with curtain walls. So you can see I drew 4 walls, the curved wall, the straight wall, and then these 2 straight walls. So with 4 walls in a floor plan, I just drew it in floor plan, and it put in all of my base, chair, and crown that easily. With a wall sweep, you'd have to do 3 separate sweeps to get all of that on. And then in addition to that, there's some other things. If you've ever used wall sweeps to do base, you'll also know that there are some limitations. If you had it, for this example, it's not so obvious, but if you had this wall running through several rooms, maybe this is an exterior wall, and along that exterior wall you have a bathroom, a bedroom, a dining room, all on the same wall. Well, if you put this wall sweep on that wall, it sweeps it across the whole wall. So if you want a different base, or if you want a different crown in the bathroom than you do in the living room, or maybe you don't want crown in the bathroom and you do want it in the living room, it's when you do a wall sweep, it's going to put it in all of those rooms. So there's some limitations there. Another limitation with wall sweeps is if you have a vaulted ceiling, like right here, say this was a vault, you're not going to get a wall sweep to go along that vault, I'm afraid. However, a curtain wall, you can do that. Curtain wall, you can edit its profile just like any wall. And when you edit its profile and you put that vault in there, it will sweep that top mullion to follow the vault. Okay. So again, there's a plus for a curtain wall that you can't do with a wall sweep. So again, I'm just talking about the 2 different ways. There's multiple ways to skin a cat, and there's benefits and there's drawbacks. With a curtain wall, to do an opening like a door, you have to do some custom editing to the curtain wall to get the opening, because by default, the wall sweep is going to run through your door. So is the base. So there's some editing you have to do there that you wouldn't have to do with, well, you still have to do it with the wall sweep, because a wall sweep will sweep all the way up to your opening. Originally, it looked like this. You have to go through and move those sweeps back to the outside edge of the casing. All right, another method you could do is the way I did all of these walls is I embedded these profiles into the actual wall. So they are part of the wall. So if I was to create this wall again and draw it like that, it will automatically put the crown, base, and chair on it. So this is another good option. It's really fast to do it this way. But again, if you have other rooms that have the same wall type, but the only difference is they don't have the crown, you're going to have to create a whole new wall to accomplish that. So hopefully this is making sense. You don't have to know all the intricacies of everything I just explained. I just want you to know that different methods are good for different circumstances. And we have tried to give you tools for no matter what circumstance you're in. We've given you redundant tools that you can pick from to try to best suit your needs for your individual projects. Okay, so keep that in mind as you go throughout the rest of the playlist. After this, we'll start getting into all the intricacies of all those different families that come with your download, and I'll show you how to use those in the next video.